Okay, we're live. Mark, Ines, welcome very much. Welcome to the Real Meal Revolution show. We're here to talk about two real heroes, the real heroes of the obesity epidemic. And you guys are running the Restrain Project. And for those of you who don't know what the Restrain Project is, well, I think, Mark, maybe you can kick off and tell us a little bit what it is. But it's in brain training.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So the Restrain trial is looking at the effectiveness of using brain training games to help in weight loss and help with changing unhealthy eating behaviors. So it's looking at modifying thought processes, let's say, underlying, overeating and eating too much, seeing whether we can modify these by playing games every day, essentially.
Yeah, so people playing Candy Crush could swap out Candy Crush for playing the Restrain app game. It's a game app, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then that would help them lose weight.
Lose weight, yeah. Maybe not on Candy Crush, but yeah. It'll help you lose weight at least.
Yeah, got it. And so let's just go back a few steps into the theory of the. So this is obviously, you said that brain training is actually a nickname for a sort of slightly more technical term, and maybe we could talk about a little bit of that science.
Yeah, so we sort of refer to it in the literature as cognitive training, really, but brain training's a lot more sort of accessible, and people have heard of brain training. The idea behind it really is that our behaviors are sort of influenced by underlying cognitions, underlying thought processes. Broadly speaking, very broadly speaking, there's two sort of main systems and drives that influence eating. We've got the sort of automatic one, which it's based on association. You associate the sight and smell of foods with the rewarding effects of eating it. So the next time that you see the packet of foods that you just eaten, or the smell of foods, it's more likely to influence you to think, oh, actually, I want that food. I remember how enjoyable that is. So each time you eat paired with that, cue, it increases the chance, it increases the strength of these associations. So there's that one drive of association. But then we've got another one, which is sort of goal directed, the very conscious stuff. So when you're dieting, you say to yourself, oh, I'm not going to eat that, I'm on a diet. And it's very conscious, and you always, you're thinking of ways to keep to your goal. So we've got two drives, really, one automatic, one, conscious. Yeah. So the idea is with these training games, more recently, the evidence is sort of saying that these processes can be modified. So training takes, tasks and aims at modifying, let's say, the associations underlying eating behavior. So can we reduce that strength, that automatic strength that drives and, you approach these unhealthy foods? Or can we increase that strength, the goal, so we don't lapse in the face of temptations to to consume.
Got it. And so Ines, the data scientist, Ines, you know a little bit about like why, or what brought this trial up. Like, why is it important to do this study?
I think it's just clear for everyone that obesity is just a huge epidemic right now. It's becoming harder and harder for people to eat healthily, with the proliferation of like processed food. Like if you look at, in particular, like the Samoan Islands, which is just the fattest country in the world,
really,
so to speak. Yeah.
Now, what is the figure that gives you, like, is there a number associated with that? Like,
yeah, it's like
what makes it the fattest?
1 in 10 people are overweight or obese. 1 in 10 adults even are overweight or obese. And then I think something like in the last 30 years, the Samoans with type 2, the number of Samoans with type 2 diabetes has gone up like something like 20 times. So it's 1 in 5 people have type 2 diabetes, which then has like lots of complications of their own, like blindness, sleep apnea, chronic levels of fatigue. So it's just a health crisis in its own. And I think it's cheaper for Samoans to eat locally grown produce because, it's a country with, it's not like the UK, you can't grow anything. They can grow like lots of fruit and veg. But yet most people end up eating imported food. So it's absolutely like a matter of preference and behavior control. And with that, studies suggest that Samoa is at risk of becoming one of the few countries with a life expectancy that is falling. So this is what expect us if, we keep not doing anything about the way we eat. And I think particularly is even more relevant now with the lockdowns, because people are just being restricted in their daily lives. So I think COVID made it even more relevant. And now that everything is opening back up, people are going out, eating whatever they want again in the restaurants. So it is just the perfect time to see which of these interventions, or if they, we can develop to help this cause.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, I was interested about Samoa. I mean, 1 in 10 seems quite low, actually. What I understood is that America was like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 people were overweight, like adults in America. So I'm surprised that Samoa holds the trophy. But it's
American Samoa is 93%, so it's even more.
Wow.
93% of adults are overweight or obese. So it's just it will damage the quality of life of people, and it will take its toll on any health service.
Now, so back to Mark. Mark, we want to talk about the actual trial, and we'll talk about recruitment in a bit in a second. But you mentioned using the app to change people's desire. So you want to strengthen their resolve, or strengthen their motivation towards the goal, but also like short circuit or rewire that automatic part of them that's compulsive and gunning for the bad decision, basically. Now, how does the app do that? Tell us a bit about like what the app looks like, or just tell us like how it works playing the game.
So there's multiple games on this trial, and they broadly either, like you said, they look at the automatic or the conscious. It's depending on what group you're assigned is what game you'll be shown. All of these have evidence to have that they have an influence on weight and healthy eating, but we're just trying to figure out what is the most effective games, and what's the most effective in changing weight, changing unhealthy eating behaviors.
So this is it, hey?
That's it. Yeah. So it's a massive trial. We're recruiting about 45,000 participants. We're hoping to at least, and so it will randomly assign you to a group, and that'll show you depending on what game that you'll be assigned, and we're just gathering evidence on all of these games and just trying to figure out which are the ones that are most effective, essentially.
Okay, and is there like a general outcome that each game is trying to achieve? So how will you know if a game has been successful or not?
So the primary outcomes are, because it's a real world study, we're looking at the real world outcomes, the things that affect you on a day-to-day. So it's your weight, for example. That's an easy one. It's just weekly weight measurements. But we also have like frequency counts of how much unhealthy foods that you eat and how much healthy foods that you eat, within a week. We've also got some other measures which sort of look at, are these games actually targeting the cognitive processes that we intend them to target. So we see, the idea is if these games are influencing the thought processes, these outcomes, performance on these trials will change with time. And it's a 12-week trial, so we have these at certain time points throughout, and we'll be looking at change in performance. Unfortunately, performance differs from all games. There's not just one performance measure, but broadly speaking, the performance is what would you call it? It's looking at it's an index of the cognitive processes.
Oh wow, okay. An index of the cognitive processes. So now I'm going to move over to the data science experts and just get an understanding of what is an index of cognitive processes, and how will you be analyzing that?
I think, like Mark said, every game has different variables. I think to explain it better, the easiest way to explain it, for most games, we're kind of looking at like reaction time, put it simply. So obviously that is a continuous variable that, you analyze it like any other continuous variable.
So when you say reaction time, okay, so I have played one of these games before, which is, I can't remember the name of the app. Oh no, it's called FT, Food Training.
Food Tea, is it from?
Yeah, Food Tea, that's it, yeah. So I did the Food Tea app, and basically it draws a red ring around unhealthy foods in this screen that you look at, and then a green ring around the good foods. And you're supposed to not push the button when you see a red food, and then you're supposed to push the button. So you train your brain essentially to restrain from tapping the red, and then to proactively go for the green. Is that? And so when you say you're tracking response time, I know all of your games are different, but that's the kind of thing you're talking about, like how quickly a user goes for the right thing or decides to pass on a thing.
Yeah, okay. In that game particularly, we'll also have obviously the amount of times that the participant isn't successful, right. For example. So each game will have like different tweaks of other things that we're measuring. There's games that there's no reaction time at all, but it's just the bulk of them, the main variable will be reaction time.
And how will you get so how do you link that to obesity and weight loss? Because just because you're good at the game doesn't mean you're going to get the results.
Well, in theory, if you start with like a really high reaction time at the beginning, and then over 12 weeks, your performance is getting better, that is a good indicator. Then your brain is being trained, essentially. And then these mechanisms that Mark was talking about, they are the same that, prevent you, like make you restrained from eating the bad food. The theory is that will happen in real life. Okay.
So, and this is the preliminary data from the pilot. Is that what it suggested, Mark?
So, not per se. It's literature in the past.
Okay.
So it's not our data, let's say. There's previous evidence out there,
right.
And it's mostly been conducted in laboratories, basically. There's been a few real world studies, like you said, Food Tea, but the evidence from these lab-based studies suggests that there's effects. The only thing is, we know that thought processes are environmentally mediated. So what your thoughts and all these what your thoughts occur, or what thoughts are occurring, is based on the environment which you're in. So if you walk past a load of food outlets or whatever, you're more likely going to start thinking about food, but then your favorite food outlet might be there. Whereas if we take you into a lab, it's a highly sterile environment. We basically limit everything and try and make one cause, one effect. That's not how life works. So it's
quite right.
Be a lot simpler if it was. But this is the need for these real world trials. It's like, we can see a bit of an effect in the lab, but is that a real world effects? You know, are we going to see people's weight change and maintain losses over the time?
Right. And what is the, I mean, 30 to 45,000 people is a massive number. And Ines, I heard that you're in charge of recruiting. How? I mean, I don't even want to know how much you've raised to do the study, because that seems like a ton of people. What are you doing to find 45,000 people?
We're trying different things. Media is a very powerful outlet. So we've had a couple of articles about the study just published on mainstream media. That was quite effective. So like papers like The Sun, the BBC, podcasts as well. More recently, we started looking into social media advertising, just because it can potentially like reach out to a number of people that wouldn't otherwise be interested in reading the papers, or they're just not in this food and dieting world at all, but could be interested in participating in the study. So we've been doing quite a bit of that.
And what is your ideal candidate?
Just essentially anyone who would fit the eligibility criteria. So you need to be over 18, you can't be pregnant, you can't have any past eating disorders, you can't have, we do account for some allergies, but we don't really account for like if you have a very specific allergy. We can't tailor to that, but most common allergies to like milk, seafood, we do account for that. And if you have like a really niche diet as well, like fruitarian, I'm sorry, those people can't participate, but I think like people on the
It's not the only thing they can't participate in, I promise.
Yeah, I was going to say that people in the ketogenic diet, they're certainly eligible to participate. So, you know, people who are restricting a carb intake, they will slip occasionally. It's not like they're going to just like maintain a perfect record of not eating carbs. So, you know, they can train themselves with this game to like, depending on which group they'll be assigned to like avoid foods like that, which I don't know if you've played our game ever, but we have like two types of supermarkets. So one is with foods that you'd like to eat more of, so like your healthy foods, and foods that you'd like to eat less of. So you can find all your carbs there, and you can like tailor the game to foods that you wouldn't like to eat.
Okay, so it's not like diet specific, but you can put a specific diet into the app. Okay. And so is there a specific start date, or is it like as these people come, you put them on the trial? How does the timeline work? Okay, so as they come in, you just put them on the trial, and then they use the app for 12 months. Okay.
It's just like any other app. You do it in your own time. You can set reminders to do it every day. That'd be great. But if you miss a day, you can carry on normally the next day. So it's quite flexible. That's
great. What are some of the outcomes that you hope for from the study? What will you do with the data if and when it's a roaring success? What will the study change in the world? I think this is like one of the things to emphasize about that. This is a research project. It's funded by a major research council. So we're not a company. We're not trying to make money. This is 100% free and is absolutely for social benefit. So if it is a success and if there's like a great outcome and we can indeed train the brain to fight obesity, the plan is to further develop the app and just put it out there completely free. So would the NHS or something like that promote the app? Hopefully. I don't see why they wouldn't. That's great. I mean, it seems like an amazing initiative. Is there a time where this app, where this project ends, or when it comes to a conclusion? I think it will end
when we get enough participants to take the conclusions that we need and to make them as robust as possible. And once we've analyzed all the data and put the studies out.
So is that like years? It sounds like years. I mean, 45,000 people is a huge amount.
It is.
Mark's laughing. He's like, this is never going to end. It'll never end.
That's the feeling with every trial, whether it's 30 or 300 or 3,000, I think.
Really? Okay. And so right now we've got some people who are keen, and where do we send them to join the trial? Do they just download the app and go, and that's considered them taking the trial, or do they have to come to you with specific? Do they have to sign up? How does it work? What does someone do right now if they want to join?
You go onto the Google Play Store. You type Restrain. It should come up as our app. If you can't find it on the Google Play Store, you can always go to our website as part of Cardiff Uni's website, and there's like a button there saying download now. You can do that as well. And you download the app, you fill in your eligibility criteria to verify that you're indeed eligible. Oh, I forgot to mention that you need to have a BMI over 25. That's one eligibility criteria that I didn't mention.
Where's this? I'm looking for it here. Is it games?
It should be in the app.
Restrain.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Restrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that it? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's the app right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
So they just go here and install it, and then the other place was on your website, where I was moments ago. Well, you would have seen it if I was showing
you would have seen it at the top. Yeah.
So then they download the app and they just make sure they stick to it for like 12 weeks, and then you've got your data. You've had your way with them. Yeah,
you need to. This is the only caveat, so to speak. It's only available on mobile devices and is only available on the Google Play Store. So it's not available for any Apple users, unfortunately.
I don't mind that. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, awesome. Well, any last words? Because I can see even in the comments people are keen on joining. So I think you're going to get some more data subjects. What else do people need to know, and what else would you like to say?
I think just spread the word as well as you can, because this trial, it is dependent on how many participants we get, the success of it. This is our biggest hurdle right now, is to get participants, and if we just can solve this, we can improve the quality of so many people's lives and potentially save lives. So, that is the only goal of this study. And it's not like just any other study. This is like the study because of the amount of people that we're trying to recruit. So it has a potential to be like something really, really good for, our community.
For humanity.
Yeah.
Community, humanity. Yeah, you can't see my arms, but I'm like full arms.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, great.
It's fun it's fun to sort of participate in research as well. It's so simple just to download the app. There's no coming into the lab. All the formal process of consent and everything's done in the app. It's like signing up an account anywhere. So if you're that way inclined, you're helping science by just downloading the app, really, and helping us answer these questions.
That's awesome. Well, I have to say, as far as trials go, and I've seen a lot of clinical trials being like recruiting, and even in Cape Town trying to get people into keto trials, it is a massive hack to even participate in a trial. So you guys have made it easier than I have ever seen it made, and it looks super fun. The app's got some good colors, and it's all for a good cause. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. And if you are a Real Meal Revolution client, and you have not downloaded the app yet, right that wrong, immediately download it. If you're watching this part of the video, like this post and share it. And if you want to go and find out more about it, just Google Restrain trial, and it'll come up right at the top. You can find out more about Mark and Ines. So thanks so much for joining us. I wish you all the best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Cheers.